بدأت الحكاية منذ مئات السنين بين القبائل العربية في صحراء الجزيرة القاحلة، عندما تولد عشق بين الجواد والفارس. ورغم كل الظروف القاسية استمرت شعلة التلاحم بينهم حتى يومنا هذا. وقد حظيت الخيل العربية على مر السنين برعاية إلهية سخر فيها العديد من عشاق الخيل الذين حافظوا على هذا الإرث العتيق جيلا بعد جيل من المشرق إلى المغرب.
Judith, we all know how important your role is in Kuwait with the Arabian horses, with the Arabian breeders, especially also Beit al-Arab. So if you tell us please your role, how it all started with Beit al-Arab when you were called to start buying the mares for them.
Well, I remember receiving a young Kuwaiti breeder, Khalid bin Sheikha, who was very interested in Arabian horses after the Gulf War. And he was, then after him came Usama al-Kazemi. And shortly after that, I believe that was the time he bought mortgages. And shortly after that, he called and said the government state stud would like to reestablish their breeding programs, and the Hunting and Equestrian Club has agreed that I can come along with Mohamed Al-Khatami and come to the States and select a group of good brood mares to start again with. He said, would you be willing to help? So shortly after, he and Mohamed showed up with $500,000, and we began our quest. So we rented a plane and started going to different parts of the country. We went to Florida, we went, I think it was to Georgia, we went to Texas, and of course then they also stayed at Ansata for a while. And so we purchased horses, really some lovely mares within our budget, and eventually they were all shipped back to Kuwait, and that was the real beginning of the foundation for Beit al-Arab, although there were already a few horses here, I think from George Olms.
Yes.
So that was an exciting time because price of horses was quite expensive at that time, and to have a specific budget and to stay within that budget and still get the quality bloodstock that would be available within that price range.
Yeah.
So we were very fortunate to select some of the very best bloodlines.
Hmm? How many?
I can't remember just the exact number. Do you remember?
Approximately.
There was the Nile family, the Marita family, the Abaya family with the old
White
mare.
Nile.
I say White Nile.
And Ansata Marita.
And Sada Marita.
The family, no?
Then there was the Abaya mare from...
And then Sharara came later?
Sharara came later.
Yes.
Yeah, I believe she came later.
And there was a Saklawi family, but not from your stock.
I'm trying to remember what... I think Osama picked up a couple of mares, and I don't think they carried on.
And there's the Ubayyan mare.
Well, that was the mare from Rokai Ranch. Yeah, the mare with the
yes.
strange ear.
Yes, yes.
And she proved to be a really good brood mare.
Very nice.
She was probably one of the less expensive ones. And,
yes.
But you never know when who's going to... The Ansata mares had already produced well, so we knew what they would do. So I forget what other ones
there was Ansata Shah Abbas as a male.
Did he come with that? I guess he came with that group.
Yes.
And then later on came
Shirara.
Sharara and Ansata Riyal, and then...
And Ansata Riyal, yes. The Hijazi son.
Was it Jalila? Over a period of time, there were some additional ones that came in. But the original group were all mares. So then over the years, I mean, we've seen that those families have gone on to establish a truly significant breeding program here.
In Beit al-Arab.
In Beit al-Arab,
Yeah.
yes. It wasn't Beit al-Arab at that time. It was the old... it was
Arabian Horse Center.
the old Arabian
It's still
Horse
called
Center.
Arabian Horse
Yeah,
Center today.
well, it still is. yeah.
Slash Beit al-Arab.
Slash Beit
Yeah.
al-Arab, yes.
But my goodness, who would have expected that it would turn into this some years later?
Yes.
And what a boon to the Arabian horse world to have a state stud like this devoted to the straight Egyptian Arabian horse.
Yes.
Because outside of Egypt, it's the only other one. It's carried on in a most modern and wonderful fashion with every available tool to make it successful.
Well, I think we're lucky.
Very lucky.
Yes.
Very lucky. There are many great breeding farms that have come along in that period of time. For example, Glenlock, they're gone. Imperial, they're gone. Don Ford imported more Egyptian horses than any of them. He's gone. Martin Lober is gone. Jim Klein is gone. So to have, and unfortunately, many of the great breeders didn't have children that wanted to carry on.
It's a challenge.
It's a challenge.
Yes.
And so to have this stud here that's supported by the Amiri Diwan is a great moment in Arabian horse history.
So should thank Sarah for this.
Oh, that's so sweet. She knows.
Well,
she's
you know, here again, this is another long story. If we get started into that,
Yes,
it
let's
never
start
ends.
into that, yes.
Believe me, it was what do you see? What do you say? How do you say it? Remember, it was
Destiny.
Not only destiny. Remember, she never trusted me at the beginning, and I told her one day, I promise you. Remember, and then till today, I tell her, did I achieve the promise? Remember, I told you I would be there one day.
This
She
is true.
never believed me.
well, I got this telephone call one day from this Sarah Sabah.
No,
Sarah Sabah.
secretary first.
Was it the secretary?
Which you gave no face to.
Oh.
You just hung up.
Them.
No,
No,
yeah,
you did buy
you made
them.
me buy them.
Well,
Yes.
I wouldn't sell her a horse unless she read the books.
Yeah, she told me, you read my books first and then you come and talk to me. And she was like, what's the purpose for your buying?
My purpose was just writing.
She sent me like books. I highlighted all the good parts of her, spoke to her, and gave her all the nice introductions. And then
The interesting
Destiny.
thing, yeah,
Yeah,
destiny.
Destiny. I'm a Scorpio. Don, God rest his soul, is a Scorpio. Same birth date, both of us, 3rd of November.
Yeah, really.
She's a Scorpio. And I promised her that you will see a different side. But to be honest, in the other hand, like this was with you, but with the guys, I wouldn't say I take all the credits. They were my support, they were my hands. And they did help me. But to where I am right now, alhamdulillah, and to hear this from you, saying that what we have now is an amazing achievement.
It is an amazing achievement.
It's
truly.
not a one-man show, I would say.
Yes.
Before I thank myself and yourself, I thank the whole team and thank His Highness for trusting me.
Really.
I mean, me, especially me, you know.
Yes. And we should not forget Mohammed.
Oh,
Well,
of course,
I was just going to
that's
go
the
into
link.
Mohammed
Yes,
because
that's the link between
yeah.
both of us.
But the funny thing is, Sheikha Sarah did not know Mohammed.
Yeah.
When she called, I said, well, and you had heard about Hijazi, the king of
Yeah,
kings.
exactly.
And I said, well, the person that owns him is Mohammed Marzouk. You need to meet him. Because she didn't know who he was. As a result, that's how she met Mohammed. And of course, we have Mohammed to thank for a huge influence in restoring the Arabian Horse Center.
Yes.
True.
And in his influence in the design and structures and so forth of Beit al-Arab. But of course, that led to eventually Sheikha Sarah being involved.
That's true.
And at the time, after Mohammed had put so much of his own personal money into
True.
preserving the center and leasing his stallions to them and so
The
forth.
stallions.
Very important.
Yes.
And then Sheikha Sarah said, it's time for, let me speak and see if we cannot get the Amiri Diwan to put the center under its auspices, which happened, which was a true blessing, because the opportunity for it to carry on in the future of course, is apparent, God willing.
Yes, God willing, yes.
Yes.
Inshallah.
Yes.
I call divine appointments, how one thing led
To another.
to another.
Exactly. And the cycle, inshallah, will keep on going. And it is going.
The center not only has a local influences, has also an international influence.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
What can the center do more internationally? I mean, locally we're doing a lot with the shows, with the registration, with the seminars, with the books, the magazine, the lectures.
reading.
Yes.
Well, I think it's,
But internationally, what can
It's a
we do
leader.
more? Yes.
leadership is so important in this world, especially today. You have a strong, solid leadership, and you have the funding behind it, which is also very important. I think we're at a point in time where, and of course, I think we have to bring out the point that the center is basically devoted to the straight Egyptian Arabian horse, which is unique in itself. And as this horse it's a universal horse now. It's sought after by people around the world or breeders around the world. And as a result of the Pyramid Society, when it was formed and wanted to preserve these bloodlines, the Egyptian events, which highlighted or brought breeders together, became very successful. And now we've seen these Egyptian events become very popular around the world. We see Sharjah, Sheikh Sultan, His Highness Sheikh Sultan, started an Egyptian event there, first one in the Gulf. Kuwait has several Egyptian events, of course, the Nations Cup. Qatar has several. Egypt, now Saudi Arabia.
Yes.
Europe, of course, various places in Europe. North America being primarily the United States. So we're seeing these events happening around the world, and there needs to be some kind of coordination, like an international council or whatever, that would get together once in a while in a very loose form, but just to discuss what are the good things, what are other things we need to do, and be supportive of the organization, which is, of course, the Pyramid Society, for the handbooks that we've produced, the educational seminars, and so forth. It's really all about education, and we want new breeders to come along, but we have to encourage them. We have to show them why should they be breeding straight Egyptian horses, and why should they be enjoying and supporting it. Not just to make it a horse show, but to enjoy presentations and the actual breeding processes and learning the importance of preserving certain bloodlines, learning about the history. So there's many aspects of what a coordinated group could do, and I think that's something we have to take a hard look at. Beit El Arab would certainly be in a position to host such councils from time to time, and then I'm sure there's probably other places in the States, maybe Saudi, maybe Qatar, maybe somewhere else in the Gulf, or wherever Egyptian horses are bred. I think that's a very education.
And Beit El Arab is doing a lot in that.
Absolutely, but it needs to be worldwide.
Yes. And you're doing now the new book with Sheikha Sarah, and we have also another book with Eileen.
Mm-hmm.
We have another book on art. And
Speaking of education, yes, that's part of Beit El Arab.
Yes, and that's in English, and in Arabic we're doing also several. There's the Karras one is coming up.
And she has seen
next
and
week.
she helped us as well adjust a bit of things.
And the opportunity to preserve a lot of the old manuscripts is very important. I think Yahya is doing a really fine job of digging them out here, there, and yon, places that years ago I tried to find, for example, in Egypt or Saudi Arabia.
He's finding new things.
He's finding new things, and you can print them into books and so forth and preserve them here in your libraries, and also distribute them to libraries wherever.
We are, inshallah, doing our own library, Judy. we are doing a Beit al-Arab library since we have books and we have that. So we came up with an idea of having our own library.
Absolutely.
For the future, like we are in the Glenlock right now, in the future, Beit al-Arab library would be a collection. So inshallah, that's one of our new steps.
And also probably would have a great many Arabic manuscripts.
Yeah,
the old Arabic manuscripts.
That's our target, inshallah.
Yeah, wonderful.
Is to have more of that.
Okay. If we can go to another subject also relating to Beit al-Arab, the breeding program in Beit al-Arab. Where do you see the breeding program Beit al-Arab? And you've seen this, the beginning of it. You participated at the establishment of the breeding program. And where do you see it's going right now? And what kind of advice you can give us for the future?
Well, I've had the rare privilege of seeing the Egyptian agricultural horses in the 50s when von Zantner, as we mentioned earlier, had developed and carried on what some of the earlier breeders had done there at El Zara. Of course, there were a lot less horses then, but there was a specific quality that I had never seen in the Arab world, a consistent beauty. Many generations have passed now, and it has been a great privilege to be able to see each one of these steps that different breeders over a period of time have taken. To have been in on the ground floor here at Beit al-Arab has given me a unique perspective from the past to the present. And I have to say that the standard, the level of quality and the standard of quality here is so consistent. It's truly amazing what has happened. You've taken it to many higher levels and maintained a consistency that was not really there when I first went to El Zara, because there were different bloodlines and there was a consistency, but nothing like you have today, because the selection that has taken place here with people who have good eyes, who have studied, who have learned what's good and what works and what doesn't. It's an amazing place. And I think if you keep going in this same level, same interest, same love, because the one thing I noticed, especially in Egypt at the time, von Zantner loved his work. He loved the horses. It was his life. He had devoted his whole life to it. After he left, we saw many changes. We saw many deprivations because of the economy. We saw changes in personnel. And when you take the love away from a farm, you see it going down. The horses reflect the love and the care that's given to them. That is reflected here. And I think that is one of the reasons. Certainly, Sheikha Sarah has that love. She's had that love from the time she was very young. Many of the breeders here, or the trustees, and so they've all had a love of horses. And it's reflected in the place. Just look around. So, in addition to the quality of the horses, the quality of the love for the horses is reflected not only in the horses, but in the place and in what is being done to carry the breed forward.